Good evening and welcome to City Council meeting of July 21st, 2026. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members present and establishing a quorum is Fulcher, Beaumont, Walker, Fisher, and Councilmember Blair just came in, so I'll let her through. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble indicated that they would be absent. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday to Councilmember Gamble. Unless there are objections, his absence will be considered excused. Thank you, Council. Hearing no objections, their absence is excused. Councilmember Fulcher, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item of business is public comments. This is a limited opportunity for people to speak to the council during the council meeting. Pursuant to council rules of procedure, oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only and must comply with the standards set forth in the council rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Information on where to send written comments is on tonight's agenda and on the screen. Clerk, were there written comments received for tonight's meeting? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Before we begin public comments this evening, I want to offer a brief clarification about the fireworks topics on tonight's agenda. Many community members have reached out with strong opinions both for and against potential fireworks ban. So thank you, and thank you for all coming tonight. And we appreciate everyone who has taken the time to share their views. Tonight's agenda includes a discussion item on fireworks. However, no vote or formal action will be taken tonight. I want to make sure people here understand that. The council will not be considering any ordinance or making decisions tonight. Public comment will occur first as usual. After public comment is complete, the council will move to a discussion-only session to review information, ask questions, and better understand the concerns and ideas raised by community. This conversation will help inform any future policy direction. But again, there is no action scheduled for tonight. Thank you for being here and for participating in the process. And before I welcome our first speaker, if I mispronounce your name, because sometimes it's hard to read it on here too, please correct me so I can say it appropriately. First person signed up is Stephen Williams.
Hi, my name is Stephen.
Oh, Stephen.
Stephen, so it's okay.
Stephen is great. So please state your name. I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay. Please state your name and area of residence or association within the city, and then we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephen Williams. I've been a resident and homeowner and taxpayer of Monroe for about 5 years now. My wife and I purchased our home on West Main Street about 2 blocks up here, and I'm happy to be here and give my comments. All right, bear with me, I haven't done this since college, so. Okay, I'm Stephen Williams, 42, a homeowner. Actually, you guys already heard that, so let's talk about what happened to me. On July 4th, fireworks were lit from the sidewalk near my home on West Main Street while cars passed a few feet away. I have it on video. I have PTSD, so that wasn't noise. It was a physical shock to my chest, and I had a panic attack while my cats hid for hours. Some say it's one night and earplugs solve it, but for me, it's never been about volume. It's the concussion in your chest. The earplugs do not touch that. And it isn't one night. Neighbors say this goes on for weeks. I come from a military family, and though a disability kept me from serving, I know what that blast does to combat veterans. Over 1,000 of them live here, 7% of us. 46 fireworks calls in the last 2 years, 0 citations in the last 8 years. 0 citations in the last 8 years. Because a rule nobody enforces isn't protecting anybody, and it falls on families trying to sleep and on their own first responders working an early shift on the 5th, kept all night by what this council hasn't enforced in 8 years. Marysville issued 46 citations its first year under a full ban. The next year, 26 citations were given. That shows you that enforcement on a full ban does work and is enforceable. That's on you guys to fix, not the city council. It's not on the officers, because you're the ones who enforce the law and can change the law. That night, both non-emergency city line and Snohomish County line were busy for over an hour. No voicemail and no way to respond. 3 weeks earlier, the county banned open flame over fire danger. 2 weeks later, this city let the fire into the sky above every rooftop, threatening our own homes. The last wildfire here, Bolt Creek, burned 14,000 acres along Highway 2, started by people, not by chance. We already have a safer answer next door. Evergreen Speedway runs a professional show every year with food trucks and vendors for this whole town to watch together. And the money doesn't justify this. Fireworks sales bring in a few $1,000s against a $20 million budget. So this was never the real reason. So here's my ask. Direct staff tonight to bring an ordinance banning fireworks sale and discharge here to a vote at your next business meeting. Since we already ban it 363 days a year, I'm asking you to finish the job on the other 2 days. Also, ask Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue and the county to give their fire marshal the same emergency power Pierce County already has, so families here can keep their 4th of July, their sleep, and their peace of mind. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can keep no clapping in the audience, thank you. Appreciate that. Chris Von Johan? Johan, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Please
Yes.
state your name.
Yes, Chris Von Joanne. I'm a resident of Monroe for the last 10 years, and I live on South Madison Street. Thank you, Mayor Kudebeck and members of the council here. I'm here to voice my strong opposition to any fireworks ban. As a potential ban on the sale and discharge of consumer fireworks within Monroe city limits, I believe would unintentionally have a negative impact on our local community without solving the underlying issues. As a parent of 2 children who attend Monroe Christian School just down the road, I had the absolute pleasure of overseeing the operations for the Monroe Christian School fireworks stand for the last 3 years. This was located in the Pursuit Fitness parking lot down on Chain Lake Road. This was the 4th year we had been in operation. This operation was completely 100% operated with volunteers consisting of parents, teachers, and friends of Monroe Christian School, with the location being donated by the owners of the gym. During the 2019-2020 school year, during the year of the pandemic, MCS has a student body of approximately 92 students. This current year, they are expecting a student body of over 300 students. This means we need to expand not only our school size, but also the programs within our school. That means we need to bring in money, and since we are a private school, we need to bring in the money ourselves. Under the current system, the sale of commercial fireworks from local vendors not only helps to bring in our necessary financial support, which this past year brought in just under $90,000 for our school. Not only does it bring in money for our school, but it also helps fund cleanup efforts following the 4th of July holidays. If sales are banned, these resources will disappear, shifting the burden of the cost of cleaning up public areas not onto the city's municipal budget, but also public works departments. A local ban would not stop residents from celebrating this holiday, as is evident in the cities of Woodinville and Bothell, where a complete ban is already in place. Residents still continue to light off fireworks year after year. A complete ban has not stopped consumers from lighting off these fireworks. It has just shifted their focus elsewhere. People travel outside their city limits and visit the tribal reservations like Boom City to purchase their products. Many of these devices sold on the reservations are already against city and state regulations. By driving residents away from the regulated legal consumer fireworks sold by local licensed vendors, we are increasing the risk of more powerful, dangerous, and unpredictable devices in our neighborhoods. I will completely acknowledge and sympathize with local pet owners and those with PTSD who experience stress and anxiety during this time. As a community, we need to actively protect our pets and our residents, but a total ban is difficult to enforce and will fail to eliminate the noise as a whole. A more balanced approach involving enforcement of the current discharge hours, increased public awareness around pet safety, and a focus on enforcement of illegal explosives rather than penalizing safe, law-abiding families should be our top priority. Thank you for the time. Keep Monroe patriotic.
Thank you. Next speaker is Valerie Koza. Nice try. How do you say your last name? It's Cocos,
The Z
thank you.
is silent.
Cocos,
I didn't come
thank you.
prepared like everybody else, unfortunately. But anyway, I have been a homeowner in Monroe since 1994, like one of the first homes in Fryland. So I've seen it grow. And I have 2 cats that I have to drug. I know there's people with PTSD and other animals, and I just feel like we all live too close to each other. It's just too much. It's gotten out of control. I have a neighbor that lights off these, I don't even know what they're called, but they go boom. My cat pees himself. The windows shake. And he does it after every Seahawks game too. So I just feel like there could be a compromise. I understand people want to celebrate. When my son was young, we did fireworks, but we didn't have the ones they have now. If there could be a compromise, like maybe from 8 to midnight, you don't need to be lighting firecrackers all day long. The pretty ones, great, but maybe ban on the dangerous ones. I don't think civilians should be handling those kind of fireworks. My son had a friend who blew his hand off. It's just gotten out of control. And like I said, I feel like there could be some sort of compromise, but my neighbors, most of them go crazy. So I know they enjoy it, I know they look forward to it, but it seems like people don't really care about everybody else. Or maybe I'm a minority and they're the majority, I don't know. But I just think it's gotten, we all live too close to each other. It's gotten too much, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Lisa Fisher. Hopefully I got that last name right. Awesome. Good, yeah. Thank you, council member.
I think I'm going to open up another kettle of fish or something, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, but I'm going to talk about something different. First of all, I want to say how our parks are so nice. And I'm sorry, I'm Lisa Fisher. I've lived in the Fryland since 2009. And I love it. It's a beautiful town. And how our parks are so nice and kept up nicely. Now, busier than ever, especially Lake Ty. But as I've been there for about a year lately and walking in town, even yesterday, there are increasing amounts of motorized vehicles on the walkways, even doubling up, 2 people at a time, and going very fast, be it bikes or scooters, going at high speeds, almost hitting people, and one riding on the grass near the beach in Lake Ty. I taped it. Just, I was far away, but I saw how fast he was going on the beach right near kids and everything. All sorts of vehicles on the path, even electric unicycles. I was told when I called City Hall there was nothing that could be done. Even a friend said her husband barely missed 2 different scooters riding in the front of him. He almost hit 2 kids. Now I'm thinking of their safety, and I'm thinking of the safety of people. Lake Ty is busier than ever because I love walking it. I have dogs I walk sometimes, and I just hate to see anybody get hurt in this situation. And I'm not sure how we can do it, how we can make everybody happy. But it's getting pretty busy. And then I saw, just on the way here, 3 guys doing wheelies on their not mini bikes, but their big bikes without helmets. 3 here going about 40 miles an hour. So I'm like going, okay. So anyway, that's my concern right now in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up, I can't read the first name, but the last name is Schwinn, I believe. What's your first name? Chuck. Chuck? Okay. Sorry, I couldn't read the handwriting, so. You can give it to the clerk, thank you. And then just up at the dais and say your name and association. We'll start the clock, 3 minutes.
Yeah, first of all, my name's Chuck Schwinn. I live in Monroe, been here for over 10 years. I'd like to thank the council and mayor for letting us come out and speak our minds in regards to the Washington State Fire Marshal's list of illegal fireworks and our beautiful city allowing those fireworks to be used in our city limits. I can piggyback on what everybody else has already said. It's just out of control. They're using bombs, basically. I've given you pictures of damaged cars, fires that have been caused on public property, one fire in our backyard from a firework. These things, these aerial bombs, are just dangerous, and they don't belong in a city neighborhood setting. Most all the cities around here have banned fireworks, with the exception of Sultan and Monroe. Linwood, Bothell, Mill Creek, everywhere banned. My thing is not to necessarily ban the fireworks. This gentleman back here had a great cause that this money, sale of fireworks, the money brings them. I'm active in car shows, and we also raise money for the big boys and girls clubs, and I get that, and it's a good cause. Maybe we can come up with something in a medium where we use and sell the safe and sane fireworks and ban the illegal ones that shouldn't be in our neighborhoods, that are on the Washington State Fire Marshal's list of illegal fireworks. The ones that don't leave the ground, the ones that just give air, a display from the ground, I have no qualm against. But the ones that go up in the air, blow up, land on our roofs, cause fires, scare our pets, shake our homes, litter our streets for weeks afterwards, it just doesn't belong in our beautiful city. And I'm hoping that this is just not a venting thing that we get to do here, and now the council will finally take some action and come up with a solution to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Lou Azee. It's Azee, thank you. Gosh, I'm going to get a few of these right.
That was close, though. Hi, my name is Lou Azee. We've been living here for 9 years. Every year since we moved here from the East Coast, it has gotten worse. The Frylands is where we live. 169th is the street. We have a green belt right behind us. 3 or 4 different areas every July 4th. It's competition of who makes the biggest boom. And when you live in my house, the entire house shakes. Our puppy has climbed into the dryer. She's 70 pounds, shaking. Not okay. Our son, who's developmentally disabled, freaks out. Not okay. Everyone in my home, in my neighborhood, have animals. All the animals are affected by this. But my kids grew up with watching the fireworks with the lights and the colors and everything else. That's great. I'm all for that. But when it gets to mortars, and when it goes up and it creates a big boom where your entire house shakes, that, folks, is not okay. I don't care what it is. It's not okay. That people shouldn't have to freak out. We have neighbors with PTSD like this young man just talked about. And they're hovering. We had to leave the city that we love, to go to Wenatchee. Why? Because it's quiet. I didn't want to leave our house because everything's going up with the Greenbelt. Last night, I'm taking the dog out, and there was another big boom. That's 16 days after July 4th. It's not okay. So I'm hoping that the city council can come up with something. I don't care. Ban it, a moderate ban, but this stuff has to stop. There are, I think the last count we had was 8 firework tents all around the city. All of them doing great. Okay, so they're bringing in a lot of money. But people are buying them. They're spending, a buddy of mine worked the fireworks tent. People are spending $1,500 to $3,000 a pop. Okay, so do we put food on a table or we put fireworks and make the big booms? That's not okay. So I'm hoping that you guys come up with something. I'm not looking for the houses like mine that are right on the green belt to go up into flames. When we got back, we had to take off the fireworks on my roof. They were on my cars. They were on my porch. They were on my decks. and they're on the driveway. So we had to clean that up. If you drive down 169th, they're still in the street. So people made their little piles, and they don't pick it up. What's wrong with that? I mean, we're not asking the city to do it. It's not their responsibility. But people will just do it, and they leave it there.
Sir, we're at time.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next person signed up is Audrey Markham. And again, please state your name and association, and we'll start the clock for 3 minutes.
Sure. I'm Audrey Markham. My husband and I, and now our 3-year-old dog, has been in Monroe now for almost 4 years. Love the city, and thank you, City Council, Mayor, Interim Administrator, and thank you, neighbors, too, because I think it shows that we care, and that's why we're here. I'm here primarily to talk about fireworks, but I really appreciate Lisa bringing in the conversation about the motorized vehicles as well. I think overall, it's about safety. We are proud of our country. We are proud of July 4th, and it sounds like, forgot to mention, I'm in the farm area. I'm sorry, my bad. So we are proud that that is something that we celebrate, right? And that's great. At the same time, I think we can celebrate in a safe manner. So I forget the gentleman's name. Was it Stefan, who mentioned that there were no citations? And I understand too, city resources are very limited. We only have so much staff. We can do so much. At the same time, you know what's awesome? I think people do, for the most part, respect our city ordinances. I mean, it's not all people, but I have seen people trying to limit their hours. So I think part of it is even just writing into the law, basically a reiteration of what's already in the Washington state law, that, hey, we in Monroe also believe that we should, like, we can have the fireworks that are coming off the ground, but not the ones that go huge booms, the ones that really cause fires. I mean, I think we can do that as a community. And I think we have, if we just say that we will, and then we can, going to the motorized vehicles, because I think Lisa raises a really good point. I'm a problem solver, so I'm just always thinking about how we can solve problems. I know when I was growing up in high school, I went to a private school as well. One of the things I thought they did really well was they brought in the parents and the students, and we all had to sign a pledge saying, hey, if we call you in the middle of the night, no questions asked, don't make us drive drunk, go home. Just you can talk to us in the morning. You know, maybe that's something we can do with the Monroe High School. There's other high schools too, but at least at Monroe High School, maybe we can just have some teacher, parent, student conversations. You know, have that conversation. Maybe you'll reduce it even by 20%. 20% is 20% less people hurt, and I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Ryan Schlemmer. And again, state your name and association with the city, and we'll start the clock for 3 minutes.
My name is Ryan Schlemmer, and I live in the Frylands. I've lived here for 20 years. And I wanted to say that the scope and scale of the fireworks topic has grown each and every year over the last 20 years. When I first moved here, it really was just the 4th of July. That was 20 years ago. Now, as many have mentioned, it's plus or minus multiple weeks. I heard booms going off even this morning as I was walking my dog. And they go off all 20 Seahawks games and 24 if we make it all the way to the Super Bowl, plus other football games that have nothing to do with the Seahawks, and plus other sporting events like FIFA, and plus any other reason people can conjure up to detonate explosives in our streets. Which also makes me think about all of the explosives being stored in people's garages that are just waiting to blow up. So these are a major problem. I also want to just suggest, I read through the comments from the city's post on Facebook about tonight. There's a whole lot of, if you have any objection, you're a Karen, or there's questions of your patriotism. This is all nonsense that is meant to distract from the central issue, which is fireworks and its safety, and the vision for our city and how we want to see it grow. I want to also address, because I brought this up last week's meeting, and Councilman Gamble mentioned, in my view, a way to sort of kick the can down the road. He said, let's think about enforcing the laws on the books. Well, my pushback respectfully on that is those laws on the books, as many have noted, aren't being enforced and certainly should be. Were also written a long time ago when the scope and scale of this topic was much smaller. So we have outpaced the current laws with the growth of our city, which, thank goodness, we are a growing, thriving city. So we need to address the current state as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention is just the idea of compromise. I am skeptical of the, people responsibly compromising. I would think at the very least we could discuss the aerial fireworks that rain down on our roofs and yards and all this stuff as being something to be banned, and maybe tighten up the window. Many of us choose to leave our homes and our cities that we love because we cannot take it, and we don't see drugging our dogs as a reasonable response. Quickly, last week we talked about the fees for plan review. That was, I really pushed back on that $100 million project being saved only by
Mr.
those fees.
Schlemmer, time
So,
is up.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Skeptical of that.
Thank you. Alexandra Clark?
Hi, I'm Alexandra Clark. I've lived here for 32 years. I run the community theater here in Monroe and am part of the Monroe Arts Council. My problem is that 4th of July always was fun. I looked forward to it. I love the fireworks. I love the celebration. What I don't love is the 3 weeks of it, that it goes on and on, the duration and the fireworks that are being purchased out of the area and being used in our town. I'm going to take about 12 of the seconds here to play what was going on before the professional show. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounded like at my house at about 9, before the professional show started. I had to start drugging my dog 2 days before and 3 days after. And it's been making the 4th of July, I just dread it, because it doesn't just have one day, it's days and days, and they were still going off last night. So I would like to have some kind of limit put on how often fireworks can go on, and keep it to 2 or 3 days, and that people are not sending off the professional ones in their backyard. Instead, leave it to the fireworks show at the fairgrounds where we can all go and enjoy it and have a good time on the 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Eric, is it Peterson? Oh, hi, come on up. State name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer at 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. It's Eric Pedersen. I live on 179th Avenue, longtime resident. I think it's 4th generation. So I've seen lots change, and so has my family. I saw that the fireworks ban discussion was going to happen, and I just wanted to come in and say I was glad to hear that you guys are considering discussing what's going on. Over the past, I'd say 20, 30 years that I've seen it, it has gotten worse. I think a lot of your constituents are telling you that. You got a problem. So I'm hoping that you guys can figure out some type of compromise, whether that be designated areas or a complete ban like some of the other cities have done would be great. Personal experience I had 4 years ago, brand new neighbors to Monroe, and they took advantage of the non-firework ban and they set my truck on fire. So, and then the neighbor who was also drinking alcohol jumped in the back of the truck, threw the garbage on the ground in the driveway, which had glass in it, sprayed it with a hose, and then I got to step on it in the morning. So I think what we're all saying is that we have a problem. You guys got to address it. And whether it's through law enforcement, which I see the chief is here, if that's going to be the way that you guys want to go and direct it, or if you guys want to change the laws, I don't know, but I think we're asking for some help. So I hope that we can figure something out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Jim Puntany. Okay. Next person signed up is Mark Renero. State your name and association, and we'll start the timer at 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Mark Renero, and I've been proud to call Monroe home for nearly 20 years. When I moved here, Monroe was a quiet community. Today, it's a thriving city with thousands more homes, thousands more residents, and neighborhoods where houses are just separated by a few feet. That's progress, and I'm proud of what Monroe has become. But as our city changes, our policies have to change with it. I want to be clear about something from the start. I'm not here to argue against safe and legal fireworks or to take away anyone's 4th of July tradition. I'm here because that's not the reality we're living with. The reality is illegal aerial mortars and explosive fireworks that shake entire neighborhoods for days before and after the 4th of July, New Year's, and any other Seattle sporting event. My home isn't just noisy, it's surrounded by explosions. My yard is covered in debris from fireworks I didn't buy. My vehicles are coated in acid residue from fireworks I didn't light. My family is expected to clean up someone else's celebration, and somehow that's become normal and accepted and even expected. The question before you isn't whether fireworks are patriotic. It isn't whether people enjoy them. The question is whether the current policy is working. Because fireworks generating the overwhelming majority of complaints are already illegal. We know it, law enforcement knows it, the people lighting them know it. And everyone also knows there aren't enough resources to enforce those laws across the city. So I have a simple question. If a law cannot realistically be enforced, and the result is exactly what we're seeing every year, is that good public policy? I've heard people say this is about freedom. I value freedom just as much as anyone in this room. But freedom has never meant doing whatever we want without regard for the people living next door. We don't call it freedom when someone blares music through the night. We don't call it freedom when someone's actions damage another person's property. We call that being a bad neighbor. Living in a community means accepting reasonable limits so everyone can peacefully enjoy their own home. One person's celebration should not become an entire neighborhood's burden. Monroe has grown, our neighborhoods have changed. The status quo no longer reflects the community that we've become. Tonight, I'm simply asking you to recognize that reality. Not because fireworks aren't fun, but because every resident deserves a peaceful enjoyment of their home, and every policy should be judged by one standard, and that is it working? Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Kim. Can you say that again? Olszewski. You're next, okay. All right, if you guys can state your name for the record, and then also we'll start the timer at 3 minutes. So are you each going to speak separately?
No, we'll just.
You're together? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. My name is Kim Reed Olszewski, and I'm a resident. Before I came, I read the fireworks regulations, which states that fireworks are only supposed to be discharged on the 4th and December 31st. Since the 4th, and even before that, when they first were sold, there has been fireworks every night. We have lived in Monroe, in our neighborhood, for almost 30 years, and during that time, a home burned down in our area due to mishandling of fireworks. It burned hot, and it burned fast. And the fire department had to spray the house next to it so it didn't take that house as well. That really shook me up. With the summers getting hotter and drier and the water being conserved in our area during the summers, it feels like that this, I'm sorry, I lost my place. It feels irresponsible to continue the tradition, especially when rules are not being followed. And I think that I had heard over in Snohomish that now they're doing permits to be able to light off fireworks in town or in one of the towns close by. Possibly that might be some option. I'm not saying to close them down for good, but the ones that are loud are very loud. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think the permit is a good idea because then people take accountability for what they're doing, and they identify that okay, they're going to celebrate on the 4th. I mean, heck, we were married on the 4th, so we did that because we could always have the day off and there'd be fireworks. But it seems to start as soon as they go on sale. I called 911 Saturday night, could have done it Friday and Sunday, and Friday, end of the day, I want to go home and relax. I don't want to hear munitions going off in my neighborhood. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks a
both.
lot.
Mike Olson, do you mind waiting to the end? Do you mind? I know your topic is different than fireworks. Are you okay with that? Okay. There's 3 more ahead of you. Next person signed up is Shannon Burke. If you can state your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer at 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Shannon Burke. I'm a homeowner. I live off of 179th Southeast Grand Place. I want to thank our law enforcement and the fire department. It's been a tough 2 weeks. I'm only here to talk about a personal note because all of you have covered statistics beautifully, and I don't need to go over those. It's redundant. But I have a neighbor, 93 years old. She lives on 157th Place Southeast. I check on her frequently. Her yard was littered with debris. I'm a little upset about this because of the trauma it caused her and caused me. I live right around the block. Last year, I had embers coming down at my yard, so I had my hose out ahead of time. I had watered my yard down anyway. This year, she had debris all over her front yard, and she's 93. And the next morning, she's in her walker going out to her front yard and picking all the debris up. And then it continues again and again and again. She's afraid because some of the people that are doing this, and I understand her thought process, are in these big trucks and they double park and they light off this stuff, 80 mil, whatever they are, right in the middle of the street. And it comes down her street, my street, many other homes. Our pets are traumatized. I had my animals on trazodone. Not a good thing. I'm just hoping, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I'm asking you, this is out of control. And this isn't fair to our residents, nor is it really fair to law enforcement that has to cover all of these calls. They shouldn't have to do that. They are covering many other more critical situations. I just want to speak on behalf of my 93-year-old friend who was afraid to come here. She would have brought her walker, but she's afraid. This is my story, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Lawrence Larson. So if you can state your name and your association with the city, and we'll start the timer at 3 minutes.
My name's Lawrence Larson. Been a resident here for 26 years. So good evening. My name is Lawrence Larson. I'm not only a longtime local resident, I'm also an owner of the Yofort Frozen Yogurt Shop located right here in our beloved little town. Like many of you, I am committed to our town's growth and development, prosperity, safety, and future, which is why my wife of 25 years, Jessica, and I decided to establish roots and raise our 4 boys in this very town. So as not to take too much of your time on this floor, I'm going to keep this short and simple and to the point. We in this town have several long-standing traditions that we get to experience with our families and friends as a community. For instance, the events at the Evergreen Fair, nights out at the park, and our annual parade, to name a few. Another annual event that is not only celebrated locally, but also nationally is the birth of our nation, the 4th of July. This is the one day that we as a society get to celebrate our freedoms as a nation. Fireworks have been a long-standing tradition in this celebration. This is why I'm here. I'm asking this council to heavily consider our traditions and our history when making this vote. We have celebrated safety in this community for the last 20 years with fireworks. It is the one form of unique celebration that each of us get to experience a couple times a year. If our traditions and history are not enough for you to vote no on this ban, then I'll end with this. In the last 20 years, Monroe has not experienced any major fires or injuries due to legal fireworks. Yes, fireworks celebrations are a single night of loud bangs and beautiful exploding colors in the sky. And yes, I can understand that, and it may inconvenience a few of our residents, maybe even some here tonight. But it's just one day, a day much less inconvenience than the 2 or 3 weeks traffic jams from the Evergreen State Fair. And the 20 years of no major fires or injuries was me looking up on the Snohomish County Regional Fire District site, looking at any major fires caused in Monroe or injuries due from the 4th of July or on New Year's Eve. So that's where I got that from. I know a lady said that a house burned down from fireworks, but that's not on the Snohomish County Regional Fireworks or Regional Fire Department history of any major damages being done during fireworks. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Gabe. Is it Pickers or Pickens? Pickens, thank you. I couldn't read the N or R. State your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer at 3 minutes.
Yeah. My name's Gabe Pickens. I've been part of this community for 37 years, raising 4 children here. I have kids that have attended Monroe Christian School, and as Chris said, part of the reason I'm up here is just because I think the stand has been a great use of fundraising support for the school, and our kids have certainly benefited from that school, and we appreciate that. We've purchased our own fireworks from there. We're all supporters of legal fireworks. I think realistically, people that are lighting these off, most of the complaints are probably from illegal fireworks that are being bought on the reservation. And unless they set up patrols to check people's cars that are leaving there, people are going to continue to buy them. This is, I don't support that myself. I'd never purchased fireworks from the reservation, but that's where people are getting them. And by closing the businesses down in here, that's just going to promote people to go there even more. A lot of the days that people are complaining that fireworks are being lit right now are already days that are illegal, and it still continues. I think enforcing it realistically is extremely difficult. I'm all for common sense, 4th of July only, maybe perhaps New Year's Eve as nights that should be allowed to, people can plan for that, but even still, I just think it's impossible to enforce. Asking council or law enforcement to have to actually go out and enforce hundreds or thousands of fireworks going off is incredibly difficult and just not practical, not a good use of time. Yeah, so wasteful. Also, I'd like to consider that there's other cities besides Sultan. I think Lake Stevens, Granite Falls, Stanwood, also cities that still allow fireworks in our area, and I feel like those are similar sized towns to ours in kind of a rural country setting. So it's not just Sultan. And yeah, we enjoy lighting fireworks on the 4th. I understand the cleanup. I understand the pets. I have 4 pets myself. But I think it's just an important part of our country's tradition and history, and it's been a part of it since, I think, the very beginning, 1777. I think the year after our founding is when I first saw that they allowed fireworks and celebrated. So I'd just like to continue doing that with my own kids. We do it every 4th of July at our home, and we clean up our mess, and we're responsible, and we stop at a reasonable time. And I think it's, there could be maybe awareness for the citizens to be more respectful and clean up their mess and honor the times and the days that they're allowed and be a good neighbor and a good citizen. So I think there can be some reasonable compromise there. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Olson? Please state your name and address, not address, name, association with the city, and we'll start the timer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just start by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Mike Olson. I am the manager of the Evergreen State Fair Park here in Monroe. And I'm here tonight to talk briefly about the side sewer connection that we have requested there at the Fair Park. Although we are located in unincorporated Snohomish County, we have been neighbors and partners with the city of Monroe for many generations. For decades, we've enjoyed positive working relationship built on cooperation and mutual benefit. Brought visitors from all over the United States and Canada, brought economic activities to hotels, restaurants, many other local businesses. And for 77 years, the city of Monroe has been the permanent home of the Evergreen State Fair. Tonight, I'm not asking to establish a new relationship with the city's sewer system. That relationship has existed for decades. Our entire campus is already served by Monroe's sewer system. This request is for an additional connection in a remote area of our property where extending our internal system is impractical. We had been working with city staff on this connection for years before this current code was adopted. This request isn't about avoiding city policies. It's about recognizing a unique situation and preserving a partnership that has served both Monroe and Snohomish County well for decades. I'm respectfully asking for the proposed amendment to be passed so that we can continue investing in our facility that has served our community for generations. For nearly 8 decades, the Fair Park and the city of Monroe have grown together, celebrated together, welcomed millions of visitors together, and helped build an economy that benefits us both. Tonight, I'm asking that this long-standing partnership continue with a practical solution to a unique circumstance. I appreciate your consideration and hope you'll help us continue serving the community for many decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. There's no one else signed up. Is there anyone else in the audience? Yeah. Of course, come up to the dais and state your name and association, and we'll start the clock at 3 minutes. And if anyone else wants to speak, I'll come to you guys next.
Hello, my name is Emma Davis, and my husband and I moved after we retired from our jobs into Monroe in 2016 to live closer to aging parents. And the very first 4th of July that we lived here, I sent out a panic text to all of my friends saying, "We survived. We did not expect this. We live in the Frylands, and it has become progressively worse year after year." I was terrified the first time, and now it's to the point where we're frightened to stay home and we're frightened to leave. We were out this year when we came home. The interior of our home was filled with smoke. My eyes burned. And we had to find our way out because people were in little bits of the roadway, which I understand the roadway is probably what they perceive to be the best place to blow fireworks. But we're, going through this, I can't think of the word, but I'm old, trying to avoid children and people whose heads are hovering over fireworks being lit. We have a neighbor that closed the road. So I questioned, is the city giving permits for people to do road closures for the 4th of July? My understanding is that in the past they did. The first couple years that we lived here, there was a group of people off of 154th that regularly moved all their vehicles out and they just closed the road and blew up fireworks. And yeah, I see your faces. This is this is happening. And I've never complained because, you know, we basically have really great neighbors. I mean, really wonderful people. Somebody who just called me one day and said, I heard that your husband's really sick and I think your lawn needs to be mowed. He has mowed our lawn for 4 months. And his name is Ron, and he used to work for the city. And most of you know he's a really great person. But I want to bring up a couple of other things. Oh, so the environment. My God, what are we doing to the environment with all these fireworks? And the road closures I covered. Please, I implore you, we've been doing it this way for a really long time, and it's getting progressively worse. Let's try a break. Let's try a pause. See what happens. We don't have to say we're going to do this forever, but let's try it another way. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah. If you could say your name and association with the city, and we'll start the timer for 3 minutes.
Absolutely. So my name is Eliza Etonian. I am a community member, local business owner, and I respectfully just ask you to hear me out today. For our family, 4th of July is a cherished tradition. It brings our family, friends, and neighbors together to celebrate our country's independence. It creates lifelong memories for our children to look forward to the excitement of the year. Furthermore, I also operate Sunnybrook Adult Family Home here in Monroe. We have elderly residents who deeply enjoy the fireworks and appreciate our neighbors putting on a show for them to celebrate both Independence Day and also New Year's Eve, because I know that's also probably going to come up. For some of our residents who live with cognitive confusion, the celebrations bring a moment of clarity, joy, and stronger connection to the holidays, significantly enhancing their quality of life. We understand the importance of regarding like public safety, fire prevention, and responsible use. However, we do ask that we just increase public education as better solutions rather than completely banning it, so that it doesn't unfairly impact families and residents who celebrate safely and responsibly. Thank you for your time, and then also, we are a huge part of this community, and we appreciate our community, so if somebody does have issues with cleaning up their yard, we're happy to start kind of like a chain to have neighbors who are capable come and pitch in to help clean up the day after. So we can definitely get that organized if that does become a major concern. I know that my family does it for all of our neighbors. Whenever we do make a mess, we go around and clean up our whole street, including our neighbors, even though we're not required to. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak tonight? Okay. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, the public comments portion of the meeting is now closed. And then, council, with your permission, I'd like to move the fireworks discussion item next and do our reports at the end, if that's okay with council. We don't need a motion, do we, Sherry? Don't need a motion to move stuff around? No? Okay. Okay, next is discussion item, and it's regarding fireworks. Mr. McCorkle, can you introduce this item? Confused her. Thanks, Sherry. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. As you are probably aware, tonight we are discussing fireworks. This is typically an annual conversation that we have, so a lot of the information I'm going to present tonight shouldn't be anything new, at least to this group of council members that we have here. So with that said, I'm going to go over some available data that we have, then look at state regulations, compare them to what our city regulations are, look at potential mitigation alternatives we can look at, and then also make a brief mention at the end about a fireworks display, because oftentimes that is something that gets mentioned. Next slide, please. So looking at local data, when you look at the total firework calls from July 3rd to July 6th, year over year, from 2016 to 2026, we see an increase in the amount of calls we are receiving, both on the 911 number and the non-emergency line. Back in 2016, if you divide it by calls per 1,000 population, we got about 0.6 calls per 1,000. Fast forward 10 years later, in 2026, that is now up to about 2.33 calls per 1,000 population. Most of those calls happen between July 3rd and July 6th. You can see the breakdown in Table 1. We also receive and collect complaints from our customer relations management system, also known as Monroe Listens. We track those each year. You can see the results in Table 2 from 2022 to 2026 with the amount of CRM complaints we have received. Next slide, please. We also reached out to Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue a couple months ago to look at the incident reports that they have collected. You can see on Table 3, those are the incidents that have occurred in the City of Monroe, that's within city boundaries. So between 2022 and 2025, there have been 0 incidents with injury, and there have been a total of, I believe it is 8 incidents with fire or property damage. If you expanded that out to areas within a Monroe zip code, which would not necessarily be under the jurisdiction of this council, you would see an increase, but it is still within our immediate vicinity. Utilizing that data within Monroe zip codes, between 2022 and 2025, we received 5 incidents with an injury and 16 incidents with fire or property damage. Next slide, please. So, moving into state regulations, the state of Washington regulates fireworks. They do contain a list of prohibited fireworks. Things like skyrockets, missile-type rockets, firecrackers, salutes, and chasers are all illegal under Washington state law and cannot be distributed anywhere in Washington state. The state does issue certain permits or have certain permitting regulations specific around the sale of fireworks, as well as operating certain public firework displays. The other state regulation that I will mention is the effective date. If a city decides to institute any sort of regulations that are more restrictive than what the state already outlines, that regulation does not become effective until a year after its effective date. So if City Council were to pass something immediately today, that would not take effect until today's date a year from now. So there is a year horizon between any regulations the City Council decides to pursue in regards to fireworks. Next slide, please. Final thing I will mention with state, go back one more. Final thing I will mention with state regulations is the state does have sale and discharge times. They're all listed there. However, the state is very direct in saying that the city can issue more restrictive sale and discharge times if desired. Next slide, please. So that brings us to the city regulations. The City of Monroe regulates fireworks through Monroe Municipal Code 9.26. By and large, we adopt the state regulations by reference, essentially just copying over everything that the state mandates. However, in 2016, Council did pass Ordinance 006-2016, shortening the amount of times that fireworks could be sold and discharged. So currently, as of today, fireworks can be sold from July 1st to July 4th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. and December 27th through December 31st from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. and can only be discharged on July 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. And then December 31st from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. the next day. Next slide, please. So, looking at firework mitigation alternatives, there are a couple of options that council can consider if they want to continue to pursue this topic. One of the most obvious ones would be a complete ban on consumer fireworks. The city can also look at banning specific fireworks, so looking at that list that the state of Washington allows and specifying that certain fireworks that are authorized in Washington state should be illegal. So, for example, just banning ground-based fireworks or basing other type of fireworks rather than fireworks by and large. The city can also look at passing an emergency firework ban ordinance, which would give authorization to the mayor, the fire chief, or the police chief, or some combination thereof, to institute an emergency firework ban for that year based on increased fire risk, that year. And then additionally, like the City Council did in 2016, the City Council can continue to vary sale and discharge times, either making them more restrictive or less restrictive moving forward. There are, of course, other mitigation, less hard mitigation that the City Council can look at. City Council does already have fees associated with firework citations. That's about $1,000 per violation. For the past couple of years, the city has engaged in a rather large public information campaign, especially leading up to July 4th, regarding what our firework policies are, as well as how to stay safe with igniting fireworks and selling fireworks. And then finally, the city council can also investigate public firework displays, which are essentially permitted displays that are put on by professionals or some sort of private entity for public viewing purposes. Next slide, please. So list up there, it's a little small for me at least, but hopefully council can see it up there. I just wanted to put the list of Snohomish County firework bans that are all across Snohomish County to give you an idea of where Monroe is placed within all of that. I will mention, if you are following along in my agenda bill, there were two that were miscategorized. That was Darrington and Snohomish. Both of them passed ordinances that became effective within the last year to now make it illegal all year round. I will also mention the legal at certain times. Very few, if any of those cities, authorize them up to the extent that state law allows. Most of them specify more restrictive sale and discharge times than what Washington State would have by default. Next slide, please. The final thing I will mention, because it has been discussed before, is public firework displays. The city looked into potentially conducting a public firework display about 2 years ago, and after looking at locations, the best practice and the legal requirements require you to have an 800-foot drop zone for these public firework displays, which essentially rules out any city parks from being eligible, either because they don't meet that 800-foot drop zone requirement, or if you did institute that drop zone requirement, there would simply be no good place for the public to view those fireworks. So in essence, there's no location that the city could host a public firework display. Now, there are, of course, neighboring firework displays that residents could go to, or even the city could potentially partner with. That includes Everett, Arlington, Bothell, Edmonds, Marysville, Mukilteo, Stanwood, Mount Lake Terrace, Carnation, and of course the Evergreen Speedway right next door in Monroe. It might be a moot point, but there are obviously costs associated with firework displays. It is approximately $32,000 for just a 15-minute display, and that doesn't include any of the costs associated with hiring, bands, food trucks, anything else that makes it more of an amenity and event to put on the public display. Another topic that has been brought up is, of course, drone shows that might get around the 800-foot drop zone requirement, but the city council would still have to find some way to fund that. Those estimates are closer to $40,000 for a 15-minute display utilizing drones. Next slide, please. So that mostly brings me to the end of my presentation. Obviously, tonight there is no requested action. This is discussion only. You are, of course, allowed and encouraged to provide any direction to the mayor and staff regarding how we should proceed with this topic. I will say that as council discusses this topic, they should be considering really 5 main areas. The first of which is the data that was presented tonight. You should, of course, be looking at the public comments that you received, both orally today, as well as written. You should look at the impact of first responders and the enforcement realities that we have. Should look into the city vision. We are obviously a growing city with increasing density, and our vision statement up there says we are trying to create a place where everyone feels at home and belongs. And then finally, looking into externalities, both the positive and negative externalities that are associated with fireworks here in Monroe. As far as any enforcement-related questions, our amazing Chief Jolly is here sitting behind me. If you have any of those, I'm going to defer to him to talk about any enforcement-related questions. But with that, I will conclude my presentation and hand it back to the mayor.
Thank you. Council, questions? Comments? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to compose myself. I have been moved to tears up here listening to all of you come in, pro and con. I appreciate everyone coming out. We received close to 50 letters from people in Monroe that care about this topic, so we know we need to talk about it. When I was first elected to my first term, almost 5 years ago, this was a major issue for me. I was trying to do something about this. I had just a handful of people maybe that were interested in working with me on it. I think that's changed now, but this is very, very important to me, and I care deeply about it. I feel that fireworks right now in our community is sort of like junk food, smoking, seat belts, all of those things. We didn't know we were doing anything wrong way back when. And, You know, I grew up in the 1970s. I remember fun fireworks with my family. I am not against fireworks. I think they're beautiful. It's just what is happening in our community has gotten so bad that people are suffering. And I encourage all of you to take a look behind you at our Imagine Monroe statement on the wall. The very last line is, in Monroe, everyone feels at home and everyone feels they belong. We are going against our own mission statement with some of this behavior. People don't feel at home. They don't feel they belong here. They leave. They have to leave town. I myself leave town often. It's really taken a turn that I think is harmful to residents, to property. So I would like to hear from others here on the dais with me tonight, but I think that we need to deal with the people who are engaging in the illegal activity and return the 4th of July holiday to the people that are obeying the law, that want to spend a nice, peaceful evening celebrating with family in their own backyards and be at home. I have a beautiful backyard and I can't even enjoy it on the 4th of July. And fireworks, sure, we have plenty that are really, they're legal, they're fun, and I get that, but that's not what's happening here. And saying that we need to enforce it, it's really hard to enforce it. Our police are awesome and they're doing their best, but it's just out of control. So you saw the list or heard about the list of all the people that have now restricted this. We are just, one of 4 cities in Snohomish County that still allow it. And so people are coming here because they know they can set off fireworks here, pretty much without consequence. And is that how we want to be known, as a city that allows this, and the residents are suffering, properties being damaged? Also, I think that this discussion, as Mayor Cutterback said earlier, we're not making a decision tonight. We're opening this up so everyone can weigh in, including people from Monroe Christian School. I hear you. I understand this is a major fundraiser for your school. We all need to talk and not be angry with one another and not make this a divisive topic. Some people that wrote us letters brought up some really intriguing ideas, like relocating the detonation of fireworks to an area outside this densely populated area. They talked about enforcing it from 9 p.m. to midnight instead of allowing it all day. There were some other really great ideas. I was very, very moved by Mark's presentation tonight, and we received a letter from a Jack Freelander today, who brought up some really great points and basically took us to task as a council and said it is past time for Monroe to ban the sale and discharge of all airborne fireworks, protect your residents, protect your city, protect yourselves from the liability you are actively courting. So yeah, there's some liability here. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Blair is online and she has her hand up, I believe.
Yeah, hi. I apologize for not having my video on. I'm having a malfunction on my camera on my laptop. I have a question for Chief Jolly. When we keep talking about enforcement of the current laws, and we've heard people that said that they've called 911 and reported specific incidences with specific, addresses of their neighbors and stuff. What is the barrier, or what are the barriers for our Monroe Police to be able to enforce the current laws? I think I'd like to know a little bit about why we keep hearing that we're not able to enforce the current laws.
That's an excellent question, council member, and I appreciate you asking it. There's a host of things that are obstacles to enforcement. Staffing and call volume of other calls that are priority calls necessitate that staff that is working that night are directed to those. I believe on the 4th we had approximately 57 calls, and that's outside of the 16 reported fireworks violations that we had. And so the priority to take care of those calls always takes precedent. In regards to our law, one thing that's mentioned there, and I want to get the phrasing right, is consumer fireworks. And if you go to the RCW and the Washington Administrative Code, that also includes mortars. Now, it defines those mortars that are acceptable as being under 130 milligrams of explosive powder. A little hard for an officer on the street to be able to measure that after it's gone off. We can't have eyes on every street, every gathering, and every single thing, event that's going on. We get calls and they direct us to a house, but unless somebody can specifically identify the person who ignited the device that they believe is illegal, that we may or may not have witnessed ourselves, then there is no way to prosecute that individual. So mortars going up in the air don't necessarily mean illegal. That's a small snippet of a couple of the challenges that we have in dealing with this and this particular issue. But just because you see it coming from an area, a home, a driveway, a street, unless you can personally identify the person or where they're on scene, it becomes difficult.
Those are really, really helpful pieces of information for us when we're moving forward on discussing this. It sounds like we need to look at the definition of the violation that we're trying to get people to be. I mean, it could possibly be a noise violation or that you're littering on your neighbor's property. Those things would actually, it sounds like, be easier to prove. So thanks for your feedback on that. Since I am on the mic, I'll just kind of give my 2 cents on the issue. I think that it's amazing that we have so many people willing to give their feedback and willing to help solve this problem, and in the balanced way that they are speaking to each other and about the issue. And we do need to do something, as somebody said. So let's try a new way. I do like these ideas that we have to do something, a combination of, shortening the sale to that day only, shortening the time that they can let them off, education about, I think every fireworks stand that is selling fireworks should hand out a piece of paper that says, these are the rules in Monroe. This is your warning. Do not violate these. The police will respond and you will receive a citation or something, because I think a lot of people don't know that they have to stop at midnight. They don't look up the rules. They're just like, oh, they're selling these and I can kind of do whatever I want. I know that I believe some of the fireworks are the legal fireworks that we're having the issues with, not the illegal ones. My neighbor, I know everything they had was legal and it was still coming into, other property owners' yards, still making really loud noise and booms. There is something called, someone mentioned it, the safe and sane fireworks, so we could limit what they sell to safe and sane only. Anyways, I think there is a lot of partnership with the Evergreen State Fairgrounds. There's a lot of options. So however we move forward, I would like to engage the public for some more of their ideas and law enforcement, and try to come together for a solution for all on this. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else, Council? Councilmember Fisher, and then Councilmember Fulcher.
Okay, well, there's a ton to unpack here, right? First of all, thanks for showing up. We did get a lot of the letters. I read every single one of them. Huge surprise. The split was almost 50-50. So once again, we're in this spot where 50 people are going to like our decision, 50 people will not like our decision, which is kind of a horrible spot to be in, but that's why we're up here. We did something opposite. My family actually came home for the 4th of July to let off fireworks in our neighborhood. It is something that we like doing, something that we have done in the past. I think the biggest thing here is just really being a good neighbor. Like, we did clean up our trash. We did have one of the neighbors come down and spend the time with us. They also have an animal that has a hard time with fireworks and medicated. And so there was this community feel that was there. I am also very annoyed when they go off on the 19th in my neighborhood. I feel if we keep pushing out this educational program, we keep pushing out be a good neighbor, be responsible, I think that we can work together and work this problem out. I mean, I really do. I hope that we can. Like I said, my family came home because we enjoyed the fireworks. Now, I am kind of a less government guy, which is maybe kind of a weird thing for you folks to look up on the dais and have that be said. I would rather have people just be good neighbors. Just use the rules and the laws that are here. Am I afraid to go the other direction if people are not observing those laws? I am not. One of those examples would be speed cameras. We have laws for speed cameras. We have signs and reminders on every single one of our roads that says you cannot drive by law over this speed limit. We still have people that do it. I am for those cameras. I am okay with stepping out and making a move if people decide that they just can't handle themselves, I guess, and don't want to be good neighbors. There is a ton to unpack here. There's police, there's the fire department, there's your neighbors. I love that we're talking about it. I love that the city put this up on social media to get everybody in. I think that we should almost do that every council meeting so people know exactly what we're talking about and it's in their face and on their phones and they know what's going on and what we're going to be approaching. Again, thank you for coming in and giving all of your testimony. I really feel that if people would abide by the laws that are here, that might be make-believe land, I'm hoping that it is not, that we can continue to live in the city together and celebrate and celebrate respectively. So thanks again for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you, Mayor. So many emails tonight, so many people. This is awesome. I love having people in here. I love America. I'm sure you guys can all just say the very same thing. I love the 4th of July. If you ask me my favorite holidays, it's Thanksgiving and 4th of July. I think President Adams he was really on to something when he said our patriotic celebrations ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade and shows and games and sports and guns and bells and bonfires and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from time forward and forevermore. I've always liked that quote, and then someone used it on us in an email. So I was like, hey, good for me. But we have a certain part of our society that continues, quite rudely, to flout the rules, to inconsiderately blow off loud, useless explosives. I think those are the M80s and everything, with no point other than their own thrill. These kinds of fireworks, because we put them all together, are already illegal. And the people who insist on lighting them off are not the type of people who are going to follow the rules anyway. It's not patriotic, it's idiotic. I hate it. This is where the phrase comes in. This is why we can't have nice things. We've all heard it. It applies here. If we could just get these sorts of people to follow the guidelines, then we could all have fun. Because, like Tammy said, we love fireworks. I think everybody can make appropriate alterations to their life for one day of fireworks to celebrate our country, but it's these rude jerks that think the rules don't apply to them that create the problem because they make it more than that one day. It suddenly becomes, oh my goodness, Sunday night I was woken up again with fireworks. We've got bad actors who are creating a problem for our entire city, and I'm not sure what the answer is. The sale of fireworks in our city goes to benefit so many good causes. I think we can all agree on that. It's the major fundraiser for the Christian school, for so many other, our church did it for their youth camp. So I would love to see harsh enforcement on people who light useless explosives at any time, but we need to have specifics for our law enforcement. We need to give them what they need. I hate the big explosives. Have I said that enough? I hate them. I would love to see shortened allowable time for the legal fireworks, which heighten our celebrations. 2 years ago, I spent the 4th of July in Haines, Alaska. They are so far removed from fire service. Basically, your neighbor in a hose is what your fire service is, right? But they don't do fireworks there. There is a town parade with this adorable little band where every single band member has a different outfit on. It's great. There's games and there's foot races in the public park, and everyone brings their lunch, and it's more of a reminder how to celebrate without blowing things up, because it is possible. Again, we've got a minority of bad actors who are not following existing regulations. Eliza had a great idea, helping to clean up around her neighborhood. I think it was Ken and his wife who had the idea of the permit. I love that, because then you are agreeing to the guidelines before you are allowed to do it. I am not a fan of social media. Those who know me know this. I think it's a gathering place for snarkiness and complaints, but I think that we would benefit from a barricade A-frame in our neighborhoods with the written codes, the information, the date. Ignorance is not an excuse for not following the law. But also, maybe it's time for a advisory vote or a ballot measure so we can get all of the people to speak. I don't know the answer. I just think that we've all been thinking a lot about it. I know that we have.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford or Walker, Councilmember Walker likes to be last, right? Councilmember Hanford.
My pleasure. Councilmember Walker. Thank you, Mayor. We've had a lot of good comments tonight, and some of my comments have been stolen. So that's okay. I appreciate the things that have been shared. I appreciate that we have so many people here tonight. We've said over the years, all of us, over the last several years, that we want people in these chairs so that we can hear from them and then make decisions, because it's a lot easier to make decisions when we're hearing from the people we're representing. And so thank you for all of you that came tonight. We all received multitudes of emails before the cutoff at 4 p.m. today. I counted 80 emails with a firm position of either a for or against. And then there was a handful that didn't have a specific stance. They just were talking about it. I remember I've lived in the Monroe area since like '94. And I remember we didn't live right in the Frylands until 2010. But we would, in 2010 when we moved to the Frylands, and we were in a cul-de-sac, and 2009, we were in a cul-de-sac, and that was our first opportunity of experiencing, like, actually living in the Frylands and having the 4th of July happen. And it was like mind-blowing. Like, we'd gone and done fireworks with friends around different parts of the city, and then gone home. And so this was like, it was like, wow, this is amazing. But it was extremely loud, and we had pets, and so we had to medicate them. But it was the start, at least for us, because we're still in the same cul-de-sac, it was the start of where we got together with neighbors that we didn't normally see throughout the year, because we're all out in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and everyone's bringing their chairs along the perimeter, and we drew a circle and tried to make it safe so that the kids knew, you got to light them in the circle. And we were given oversight to the kids when they were smaller, and that lasted for hours, and I'm talking hours. And I remember we never even knew when the fairgrounds did their fireworks, because you can't tell. It's so loud around us, right? And so at the end of the night, me and all the other dads in the cul-de-sac got our leaf blowers out, and we blew all the garbage into a pile, and we all rolled our recycle and garbage bins out there, and we loaded it all up and swept it all up. And the next morning, if you drove in our cul-de-sac, you would think, oh, these guys must have left town or something, because it was completely cleaned up. And so that's what we've done for years. As the kids have gotten older and in the cul-de-sac, and they grow up and they move out, and traditions change, people change. I think this was the first year that we didn't really have people in our cul-de-sac doing fireworks. And so it was still just as loud, I felt like, but I feel like it has decreased over time from when we first moved into the Fry Islands. And I think that the way that we've done our increased public information campaigns have been working. I know that we've really focused on that over the last several years. And I feel like leading up to the 4th, it's been a lot better. And I feel like right after midnight or whatever, it tends to drop right off. Whereas when I first moved to the Fry Islands, before there was all this increased public information campaigns, I remember it going well into 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're finally in bed and still waiting for it to stop. And I feel like that people have been more respectful about that.
That's not accurate. Excuse me. This isn't a time for participation from the people in the audience, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like I like I know that we do give permits to close different sections of the road, and I feel like that's a good, maybe one of the options if you're going to give a permit to close the road, is that they do have to sign some kind of an agreement that they agree to not fire off illegal fireworks. I think that's a great idea. If we look at the dates, several years ago, we tightened. I feel like, Mayor, I feel like you were on council at the time.
Yeah.
We tightened the dates of when they're available to purchase so currently we are tighter than the state law. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like we've done a good job on that. As Councilmember Fulcher said, a ban's not going to stop fireworks from going off. People will still buy illegal fireworks from the reservation and light them off, either here or wherever. And I really feel, and it's like a catch-22, really, for the police department, because as you heard from the chief, it's hard to enforce. So we could say, well, we want to enhance the enforcement of the fines, and so raise the fines or do something like that. But it's hard enough as it is to even know who did what. And so I totally empathize with the police on this. So I totally, the different things that the fireworks funds go towards. I know the fundraiser for nonprofits, these are several things in the emails that we received. For small businesses, for community groups, tuition assistance, for scholarships, extracurricular and educational programs, and how they bring the community together. And I know that for several of my kids, they helped sell fireworks at fireworks stands, and that helped them pay their way to youth camps during the summer. So whereas I, as a dad, didn't have the money to just fork over hundreds of dollars, and so that helped them go to camps. And so I've seen the benefit personally in my life and my kids with that. So I agree with Councilor Fulcher and the statement. I was going to read that John Adams quote too, because I really liked that from, but I don't know the answer, but I know that I don't want to see us make any major changes so that we can continue with these great traditions and all the things that I've just shared. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanford. Councilmember Walker?
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who came out, the time that you put into the things that you wrote and spoke. It's never easy to do, and so we're genuinely grateful for that. The emails did blow me away. By the end of the cutoff, I counted 90, but 80, yeah, with I think strong convictions within them. We got some interesting testimonies. One of the ones that I thought was particularly interesting was from a 911 operator in a local county, not Snohomish County, but she was advising that a city that had recently made fireworks illegal, it started to lead to overwhelm of their services. It has in years past. So it was a recommendation of just be aware. Naturally, when it becomes illegal in the entire town, there's going to be more calls from throughout the town, and it can actually make that problem of police overwhelm even worse or more difficult. This is an interesting one for me mentally because I am generally against it in the city. I've got 2 kids now. One was an infant one of the first few years we lived in Monroe, and obviously it's not easy to have an infant sleeping through the night in general, but let alone when there's fireworks right outside the window. We live in the Frylands. And now I have another, and we've got a dog as well, a greyhound that we have to get medication for every year. We've got all the same issues. What's fascinating to me about this topic is I haven't really seen a more 50-50 problem in our city, and that's always tough. As an elected, when you have situations where you might be for something, even though, I don't know, there might be a 51-49 change, and then it really just comes down to the practicalities and what you feel your role is as an elected. I go back and forth on this one all the time. When campaigning for office, door knocking, you go around and talk to your neighbors. I think I may have met a few of you in the room doing that. Frylands was a big part of it. It's one of the most common issues that came up, and again, it was probably 50-50, because people will ask you when you're door knocking if they care about fireworks the most. Boom, what do you think about fireworks? And obviously you're like, all right, it's nuanced. But this is a tough one. So I guess the options going forward for us are ban it, keep it as is, leave it as is, or do something like an advisory vote. We talked about an advisory vote last year. The difficulty is they're about $40,000 for the city to run an advisory vote. And then you have the question of, okay, if it comes back 50-50, is that something that should have a law change associated with it? I don't know. I think probably not. It wouldn't give you kind of the insights or the proof to say that this is exactly why we did it. I think that may have been where that conversation ended last year. So yeah, going down to the practicalities, I just think the people that are causing the most frustration amongst all of us are the ones that are lighting fireworks off outside of the legal hours or the big ones. I think we've got a really good example of whether or not people follow the time frame, in that every Seahawks win, sometimes every Seahawks touchdown, they're lighting off fireworks, they're all breaking the law. And as a Frylands resident, I'd have to think there's probably a dozen people, maybe less, that actually light those fireworks off. And to me, that's kind of exciting from a enforcement point of view, because if we can track down those 12 people, if our police can follow up with those 12 people, it might be that limited for us to get ahead of now, instead of in the future having the police get 1,000 calls from the city of neighbor over here, neighbor over there. I think if we can get good citizen reports of this neighbor lights fireworks off at this time, maybe we can do more proactive policing around it in the areas where it does happen. There was someone in the emails that mentioned Frylands, Lake Ty, often being an area where youngsters light off fireworks. That's another area where our police could sit in advance and wait. It's really, really a difficult issue. Yeah. I think I probably lean towards waiting or getting more data. And I guess the data that I'd be looking for is maybe feedback from the cities that have done enforcement in recent years. With the last thing I'll touch on is the revenue question. For me, it's never been about revenue for the city. It's always been about revenue for those community efforts that run the stands. I don't think that the stands like the Monroe Christian stand are selling the M80s or the illegal fireworks. But I think if we take away options like those stands in Monroe, those people's only options are going to be, in some cases, Boom City or the places that do sell illegal fireworks. And that's just really unfortunate to me. Anyways, I just wanted to express everything that is on my mind. It's an ongoing one. I'd be interested in more information. I don't know if the rest of the council would. Yeah.
Councilmember Beaumont, did you put your flag back up? Yep. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you. So in response to your comment about knowing what other people have done, I have spent considerable time talking with other city folks from Marysville, for instance, where they did an advisory vote and it passed 60-40. And they have not had fireworks for a long time. I talked to a couple of council members from Snohomish, City of Snohomish, on Thursday at the SEC meeting, and I've been kind of putting out feelers to find out what they did about this. Marysville has not had fireworks for a while, but they did take it to an advisory vote. And yeah, we've talked about this for, I think, the last 4 years, and where we left it was, should we do an advisory vote and let Monroe residents decide? And I talked to some other city, I'm trying to remember which city it was, it might have been Arlington, but it was just like, so close, like 1 point. And that is something we could do. We could leave it in the hands of the people who live here and say, what do you think? That would be a fair way to do it. But I must say, I do think that there are some separate issues here. I think the Frylands is its own breed of cat. I really do. I think that if you live in the farm or you live anywhere else in the city, the Frylands is its own unique, and everyone calls it a war zone, and it really feels that way. And I think the majority of the Tenerife bombs and things like that that are going off are in the Frylands and in maybe your neighborhood, Councilmember Fulcher, I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe just increased enforcement to try and really find those people that are doing that, because it seems to be doing the most damage. Also, I just wanted to respond to the idea that neighbors are coming together and enjoying time over fireworks. My thought is, why does it have to be over fireworks? I just had a potluck with neighbors Sunday at my house. It was wonderful. We played yard games. We visited. We had shared food. Why does it have to focus on fireworks? Get together with your neighbors and don't do it. It doesn't have to be around fireworks. So just a thought there. And lastly, Councilmember Fisher was also at the America 250 Speedway show this 4th of July. That's where I spent my 4th. And it was a beautiful show. Of course, it was huge because it was celebrating our 250th birthday. And yes, I love fireworks. Absolutely love them. And those kinds of communal experiences where you're there with a huge crowd of people oohing and awing over these beautiful, you know, fireworks going off in the sky. There's something really unique about that. It's like seeing a movie, going to a theater and seeing a movie that draws us all together as people. We have a shared experience. I think those things are really important. So I still support a community gathering where, you know, Speedway already has it, but I like the idea of having a community show like Haines, Alaska, where we've got a parade or we have people coming together. I think that that is a much more healthy way of celebrating, and just, you know, is a better way to celebrate, but also protect our residents and properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Fisher.
If you guys go on the city website, my city phone number is there. Please call me. Do me a favor and text first so I don't think it's a telemarketer. I would love to have these conversations when it's a little more two-way. Tell people I can meet for coffee, I can do whatever, and listen and actually sit down and listen to these things. There are different ways to celebrate. I have a block party every single year. I've had one for, gosh, it's been over 20 years now every single year. We shut down Blakely Street. It's not for the 4th of July, but we get to see our neighbors and meet our neighbors. So there are different ways to do this. And then Chief Jolly, if there was a permit process, would it be easier for you guys if you showed up somewhere and somebody didn't have a permit? You would say, okay, you were setting off fireworks illegally within the city. It doesn't matter what gram they are. It doesn't matter. Would that clear things up at all? Like have a free permit process, knowing that this is very staff involved, and we would have to go down that road as well, because there's also going to be a huge cost to that, probably as much as a drone display, and also as much as doing an advisory vote. But would that help, do you think, in the process?
So that's one thing we've not been asked to do, is to solicit our opinion on possible solutions. However, I would say that we do have a number of things that we have discussed internally, and I would be willing to share those, and a study session or a proper
absolutely.
forum that the mayor feels comfortable with. But
for sure,
yeah, I believe there's numerous solutions. Yes,
great.
Permitting could be one of them. I've
Thank
not
you.
studied that specifically.
And again, not joking. Please call me.
Councilmember Walker, did you have more comments?
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing as Councilmember Fisher. Three-way call maybe, but I would just remembered too from our conversation last year. I think the last advisory vote we ran was in 2014 on this. Trying to think about Councilmember Gamble, who isn't here today. I think that he brought that up last time. The other thing to consider is that I think no matter when we were to enact the ban, it would take about 2 years for it to go into effect. I think maybe 3 years. It's two after the election. So that's something else to keep in mind, is if we run the advisory vote, that would be an election season, and then it would come up for, I think, 2 more years before it would go into effect. So there's another difficulty of it. But I think that I'm in the same boat as Councilmember Fisher, where I'm just not ready to make a decision, but I do want to hear more. I know that there's more information on other enforcement mechanisms. So yeah, Liam, if we could do a follow-up meeting, if that would be okay.
So what, Councilmember Fulcher, did you want to make more comments after? Because I'll save my comments to the end. Are you? Okay. Thank you. What I was going to suggest is I'm not hearing a clear consensus one way or the other, and so I think we can come back at a later meeting and look at maybe some different enforcement options, and look at maybe some, you know, people brought up a permit, people brought up more enforcement, maybe shortening hours. That's what I'm hearing from council, so I think this needs to be on a future agenda after the break, and so we'll look at a date and schedule it and bring some other options forward for council to consider. I was on council in 2011. Guess what? We were talking about fireworks then. And we did make some restrictions. I forgot what year was it, 2015, Liam? On hours that we could sell and all of that. So I think this is a topic that matters to community. Obviously, it matters to council. So I really appreciate all the discussion up here, and I appreciate the discussion in the audience. And so we will bring this back. Thank you. Thank you, Liam. Next item for discussion is regarding a request to amend MMC 13.08.240, prohibition of provision of sewer service outside of the city limits with Jacob Roberts. And Mr. Olson, you've been very patient. And does that little noise over there, is that bothering people? Because that is driving me crazy. Have you heard that thing? Yes. Jacob did a work order, so I just want to let people know, because it has been driving me crazy. So thank you, Mr. Roberts. You've got the floor.
Mayor, may I request a break? I need to use the restroom.
Yes, okay. We will take a 3-minute recess. 3-minute recess. wanted to get people's attention. Okay. What do I have to say? Calling the meeting back to order. Okay, Mr. Roberts, it's your item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Sherry, if you could bring up the first slide, that'd be awesome. So tonight we're going to talk about the regulation of sewer service outside the city limits, specific to MMC Title 1308240. So kind of looking at the introduction here, Snohomish County has requested additional sewer service for the Fair Park. It is sited outside the city limits and within the city's UGA. The service capacity increase is for a wash bay maintenance facility. That's the request at this point in time. County park plans indicate that there might be additional future growth, which is attached to your agenda bill for the Fair Park's preferred plans. It kind of looks out for the extended period in the next, I think, 15 or so years. Like I said, current MMC prohibits sewer in the UGA at this time, so we'll continue to explore the topic. Next slide. Framework for tonight, we'll start big and work small. Background, Growth Management Act, basic stuff in our Monroe Municipal Code. We'll look at the request for sewer service where it's cited on the county property, evaluate the potential impacts of the current code, and also the options to amend the code. And then we'll clarify council's interest in taking additional steps in the future. So, big picture first, GMA directs growth to cities. It serves to encourage densification within city boundaries growing up and also through annexation growing out. Infrastructure and services delivered within cities are inherently more efficient and also supported by the tax dollars and the folks that receive the benefits of those infrastructure pieces. So that would include roads, parks, public safety, human services, and to a lesser degree, sewer. It is only served inside the city, but also water, which is served outside and inside the city. So a little bit of a unique utility in that fashion. Next slide, please. So GMA in this code, sewer service is the foundational and critical component of density. Without it, one can't achieve density, and that's just purely due to the way in which sewer is treated in our environment outside of a dense urban sewered location, and that is through typically septic systems. We don't really have a lot of holding tanks here in Snohomish County. That's kind of an older 1950s era technology. And so in order to achieve density with a septic system, you have to account for a drain field, a backup drain field, and an existing septic system. It makes it quite hard. So it does allow for some growth, but really not those, R9, whatever we do these days, Lance. How many square feet in the lot? 4,500 or so? Yeah, so we don't get those numbers out in the less dense area. The current code prohibits the delivery of sewer outside the city limits, and it's actually drafted to push that density into the city. It requires that in order to receive sewer service, a property must annex. Next slide, please. So this request, if you look at the upper right-hand corner or the northeastern corner of the county property there, the Fair Park, that is the county maintenance shop. I don't think I got that circle in exactly the right spot, but it's close enough for you to get the idea. That is where the request is, and it's for a wash bay facility for county maintenance equipment. Obviously, the Fair Park requires a lot of things that are public worky by nature or park-ish by nature, and so they need to be cleaned up. They need to be washed down, decanted equipment, and things of that nature. So the county wants to construct a facility where they can do that and then adequately treat that water before it's discharged to a public sewer. Many buildings, not quite, almost there. Many buildings at the Fair Park are currently sewered by the city. I believe in my discussions with Mike, he identified only 2 that are not. One was brought into the park at a later date. The other one happens to be that maintenance facility up in the corner up there. All are served city water and have been for all are served city water as long as they've existed. There hasn't been a well on that site as far as I know. And like I said, the sewer has gone with it along the way. This code update was completed in 2021, so the moratorium on serving sewer at the property is more recent. Next slide, thank you. So at this point, we're gonna go a little bit into the policy options comparison portion. I'm gonna go through each one of these, and then if council has questions or comments, I would really encourage them at that time. I can take some notes because this may or may not come back at a later date, but I'd like to hear if you have feedback at that point. It would be helpful for me to just kind of, as I process this through. So the first item we're looking at is the planned sewer system capacity. Impact of the current code, the sewer system utility plan, which was adopted in 2024, and the wastewater treatment plant engineering report, which was completed in 2019, does account for the current sewer service at the Fair Park. The plans also account for future annexed growth within the UGA. So as we annex out and expand outward and not necessarily upward, we accounted for that when we were looking at the total capacity of our system. The plans do not specifically evaluate the impacts of the growth that is described in the Fair Park Preferred Plan document for two real reasons. Number one, the sewer plan was developed before the Fair Park plan was adopted, or I guess however the county has said this is our plan, right? Whatever their formal mechanism for that was. The second one being that the way the sewer system plan works, it's a very blunt instrument and not a precise scalpel. It looks at the sum total of the whole and assumes very little specificity within that. So it says the maximum density of this annexation is X at this point in time, and so it just accounts a certain amount of volume to that location. It really doesn't get down to the project level, if that makes sense to everybody. The impact of amending the municipal code, if additional connections to sewer are allowed at the Fair Park, system development charges, just like any other connection to the sewer system, would apply. So those are connection fees, and as would monthly rate charges. So turn it back to council for any comments, questions at that point, discussion if you have any.
Any questions on that portion, council? No, please continue.
Okay. And public health. Impact of the current code. Current sewer service at the Fair Park is provided through a combination of wastewater treatment plant service, sewer collection system that the city runs, and septic system treatment. Connecting more of the Fair Park or potentially future growth of the Fair Park to the wastewater treatment plant really reduces the environmental impacts and increases the public health associated with sewage management. The wastewater treatment plant is the gold standard for how to treat sewage and then release it back into the natural environment, and that would be that. So any comments on that one?
Seeing none.
Okay. So traffic and general service impacts. Current code has no direct impact on traffic and services. As far as transportation goes, the impacts of the Fair Park on traffic delays are really contingent upon the events and the attendance at the events. And then from the general service side, the city does not receive direct compensation for the demand that Fair Park events or attendance at events places on the city's general services, and this is just an example to include police, human services, transportation, O&M, or things of that nature. If the code were amended, it could provide for additional growth at the Fair Park, which may have impacts. Growth that increases vehicle trips at this location would typically be mitigated through a SEPA process that's coordinated between the county and the city. If the development was required to mitigate impacts, they would either come in the form of transportation impact fees, or it would come in the form of some sort of a transportation improvement project at the location. So for example, if a hotel was built off of Cascade View Drive, we would either collect impact fees to mitigate it, or that project would be required to make some project-specific improvements at the intersection of Cascade View Drive and US 2. That would, of course, involve WashDOT. So cross my fingers we'd get that done on time. In any case, so those would be the couple options to consider as far as current and amendments.
Questions on that, council? Nope.
I love this. All right. Economic development, regional partnership. The current code has no impacts on this. There are indirect tax benefits the city receives, lodging tax, visitor sales tax, and they're again contingent on events and attendance. If the MMC was amended, it would provide an opportunity for an increase in economic development. It would allow for the fair to modernize and grow, the Fair Park, to modernize and grow, increasing likely tourism, events, and local economic activity. And that may also increase the indirect tax benefit that the city as a whole receives from people going to the Fair Park.
Proceed.
All right. Annexation and land use. So the Fair Park is in the city's UGA, and it is legally available to be annexed. The most recent 5-year annexation pre-zoning ordinance, which was passed in 2019, designated the site as tourist commercial. Impact of amending the code. An amendment that allows for sewer capacity to be increased could establish a timeline for annexation via no protest agreement, so sometime in the future. Eliminate the requirement for annexation. Provide sewer service for all properties in the UGA. That is relatively inconsistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and I would need to work with Lance extensively if that's what the council wanted to do in order to ideate options that the council could enact. Eliminate the requirement for annexation under specific circumstances, such as to provide service to a regional public facility, or establish some combination of these or other requirements.
Comments, questions? Not yet. Oops. Councilmember Walker. Oh,
Sorry to make it awkward, but has the establishment of a timeline for annexation ever been had before about the fairgrounds?
Specific to the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge. I mean,
Okay.
it could have been discussed in the past, but not that I'm aware of.
I just didn't know from seeing a bullet on there if this has just been something that has been considered in past.
No, this is actually more similar to some of the development we have, is that up on Ingram Hill there?
Right.
We actually have the no protest annexation in with that development. I think that's in Lance's work plan for the future, but for the community development department, but yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Similar process.
Councilmember Blair.
Okay, so this feels to me like outlining some of the options kind of clearly. So one option is annexing does the fair park need to apply for annexation? And the whole park would be annexed in, and that way they could hook up to sewer. That's one option, right?
That is one option. I cannot confirm the exact process that
Okay.
you outlined is correct, but yes, that would be, in summary, yes, you're correct. That would be an option.
And then we're within the GMA and the Monroe Municipal Code that way.
Correct.
What other ramifications are there for the fair park to come into the city, annexed into the city? I guess that would be a question for the future. You said like if we had questions for the future, what other things would that affect, I guess? And then the other part about on the right here, impact of amending. So one of the options of if we could say exemptions for public entities, I think is what it says on here.
Mhm.
Is there any other public entity that we're forgetting about that could then claim this exemption also? That would be a question for the future.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Councilmember Blair?
No, thank you.
Any other comments, questions, council? We'll come back to that just on this section. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the last slide. So if we're going to come back to anything, I suppose we should do that now, Mayor.
Yep. Do you want to go over what the next steps might be, or
I
and then
certainly
I can
could.
open up for comments?
Yeah, either is fine, but I'll go ahead and go over it. Maintaining the current MMC requires no additional action. Amending the MMC, utilize council feedback from tonight's discussion to draft an updated ordinance for review in the future. Or other would be gather additional information as requested by council and revisit this item again at a future meeting, probably a study session.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. So there is a way for us, I'm personally in favor of us making this exception for the fairground. I like the partnership that we have with them, and whatever we can do to continue to strengthen our bond with them in the future, I'm in favor of. I also don't think that the county is in a financial position, at least from what they've said this budget season, to make spending on some of these improvements a priority. Therefore, I think what we can do to, I don't know, assist in that process is a service to our residents in our city, as well as the fairgrounds. So there would be a way for us to sort of make this exception in this case, in doing the amendment to the MMC, while maintaining our ability to do it on a case-by-case basis, even with regional public facilities, I think it said in the future.
Yes, that's correct. So the code could be drafted to create an exception for a facility that qualifies. While you can't necessarily call out the fair park all by itself,
Right.
you can set a set of criteria that would likely only result in a rate class of 1 or a classification of 1, but also would have to be crafted very specifically by the city attorney. And yes, it could be a blanket approval for future connections, or it could be, if the council preferred, a case-by-case basis. So each time that a facility within that category requested another sewer connection, council could revisit that. It could be either or.
Got it. Yeah, I'm very much in favor of the case by case, just because, I don't know, if the county decided to build a Wild Waves Part 2 at the fairgrounds, I would hope that there were some impact fees for that, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I also support the exemption. The Fair Park's a year-round economic and community asset for the region. This exemption positions them to continue to contribute to local development and tourism. And I mean, the fair's been around since 1949, and I think this is a wonderful thing to do to strengthen our partnership. And I think case-by-case basis is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, also in favor of this. I think it's a shame it's taken so long to get this kind of worked out. Talking about our partnership with Fair Park, talking about environmental stuff with our treatment plant, I think it's just kind of a no-brainer at this point. The partnership is amazing, and it will continue to just become more amazing. I am interested in also the case-by-case, or maybe more of just a blanket statement with service and regional public facilities. I don't know if I'm convinced that it has to be case-by-case with the Fair Park itself. Maybe case-by-case with other entities that want to connect, but not necessarily just with the Fair Park. And I think Wild Waves is a fabulous idea.
Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. Yeah, well said. That would be fun. Our sewer extension ordinance that we had was intended to stop unannexed development outside of our city, because that development kind of created a population that lived near enough to Monroe to consider themselves Monroe. They shopped in Monroe, they used our parks, they used our streets, they expected our PD to come when they had emergencies, and yet they weren't paying into the revenue to support the participation in Monroe. So we had an idea back then. We all know that the Fairgrounds Park is never going to be annexed into our city limits. Sorry, spoiler alert. But as a business owner, I can attest that they sure do contribute to our tax base. They are our partner. I keep hearing that word, partner, partner, partner. And partners, they make it work. And we were so previously stuck to the letter of the law defending someone's past personal offense that we just forgot the spirit of the law, and that's to help our partners. And I have heard all of you do the speeches and the thank yous at the parade appreciation dinner, which is put on by the fair. And it is time we put our words into actions, and we live out the partnership that we talk about. So I suggest that we do make these changes. It clarifies the original desire of the ordinance, and I would like to amend this MMC so it makes it so we can work, we can be partners again. I'm just, like Kyle said, I'm sorry it took so long.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair, then Councilmember Hanford. Sorry, she had her hand up online.
So Councilmember Fulcher just said that there's no way that we would annex this into the city. That I had just clarified that was legally one of the options that we have. I am for revisiting this because we're not in a time crunch, and I want to be sure we do this right. I would like to see the pros and cons of each way. So either, in my mind, if we're going to annex them in, then it means it's just them. We're not opening the door to other entities that I do not support other entities besides this public benefit entity getting an exemption from the UGA sewer hookup GMA focused requirements. So I'm only wanting this support for the fair, which yes, that's a no-brainer. They're a huge partner for us. But I want more info on, like, if we annex them in, does that mean that they get to expand all the time with no other notice to us? If we do an exemption, does that mean that every time they go to expand in the sewer, that we review each project? Those types of pros and cons is what I'm looking for. And also, like, if we do the annexation, does that mean only them? And whereas if we do an exemption clause in the MMC, then we do open the door to other possible entities being able to claim the exemption. Those are the other bigger issue pros and cons that I'm looking for. So I would like to see us talk about this again after some of these questions and pros and cons are answered at a future September after meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to be a partner. So let's bring it back.
Okay. Any other last comments, questions for Mr. Roberts? What I'm hearing the majority of council is case-by-case basis that applies in this instance, and that if something more were to be expanded, bring it back to council for another vote. Councilmember Blair, I don't know, Mr. Roberts, I was sensing maybe not confusion, but in the annexation and just allowing this particular water hookup or sewer. So I don't know if you can maybe clarify that.
I can attempt to clarify.
Okay.
I am by no means an annexation expert, and I do not feel as though I adequately conference with Lance to put him on the spot.
Yeah.
So I'll say what I'm going to say. I don't
Okay.
really think it's fair at this point to ask him to say anything. But the city couldn't just annex the fairgrounds if it wanted to. The county would have to participate in that process. And so, in my opinion, it's unlikely that it would occur.
Yeah, the county has not expressed at this time a desire, Councilmember Blair, to annex into the city.
That's correct.
So what we are looking at is whether we allow a sewer hookup to a public entity that is outside our city limits, but in our UGA, and council is wrestling with how to do that. And what I'm sensing is, or hearing from council, is there's a desire to allow the sewer hookup, but make it a case-by-case basis in a very narrowly constructed use, except Councilmember Fisher was more open to it being a public entity, but the rest of council I heard being very case-by-case. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the annexation question. I did not mean to cause a detour in the conversation. I just more meant it as like was that ever a discussion kind of thing? So I understand that that's just a kind of note on there. So yeah, just wanted to clarify, not in favor of that. Wasn't trying to initiate a conversation about that. Do you need a motion or anything on that majority?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I think we have consensus on what to bring back. I think Mr. Roberts is clear on that, and I believe Councilmember Blair has her hand up. Councilmember Blair.
For clarification for me, when you say a case-by-case basis, so are you saying that this ordinance would allow case-by-case basis of different entities to apply for this, or it's only for every case of by case basis for just the fairgrounds? If they're going to expand more, they'd have to bring it to us. Or is this opening the door to possibly other public entities on a case-by-case basis?
Do you want to answer that? Go ahead.
I'd be happy to. Thank you for the question, Councilmember Blair. The case-by-case basis, I believe, that the council is speaking of as it relates to this is specific to expansion or growth and new capacity at the fairgrounds. Again, backing up one level, the city cannot make an exception for the fairgrounds. It can make an exception for something like a regional public facility. And so within that then, as I understand what council is generally saying, they want a municipal code that says each time a regional public facility wants additional capacity, the applicant would come to the council and request that through the Public Works Department. So did I frame that up for you in a way that makes better sense?
What you just said, I completely agree with, and if that's what you're drafting up, then yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
So if we did go case by case and they did build something new or make new improvements, I feel that Public Works and the treatment plant staff have the ability to say whether you can do it or not. Like I don't necessarily think it needs to come to council. Like I don't think that we need to do a base pick and choose, and every time they do something, come to us. I think we have a complete, well-staffed department that can handle those things and say, oh, no, you can't do that because that puts us above this capacity or that capacity or whatever the case may be. Instead of just bringing it to council and going case by case, I think would be in favor of you guys just handling that if the fairgrounds or the park fair would want to make those adjustments or build something. I think you guys are well equipped, way better than I am, to go through all of those numbers and say, yes, we can handle that, or no, we cannot handle that. We would have to do this and this and this. So that's my 2 cents.
Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. When you said case by case, I was kind of cringing and figuring we would just talk about it later and I would be able to back out of that. But I am, but I am completely confident in our staff. I don't want to babysit each case by case. So yes, a utility should be able to apply and make it happen.
I think we'll see what the city attorney and how they narrowly construe this, because right now it's not allowed by our MMC, and so I think it needs to be narrowly drafted, and so that might need to have a clause in there that it comes back to council. So I think deferring to Jake and the city attorney and what they bring back to council. Does that sound okay, Mr. Roberts?
Yes, Mayor. I think we will work to bring maybe 2 separate options to the council, and then the council can make a vote on which one they prefer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this topic? You have enough direction? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience tonight. I know we moved the agenda around, so I appreciate that. Next is council member reports. So I am going to start in the middle of the pack here with Councilmember Hanford. Councilmember Beaumont.
How do I follow that one? Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Thursday, the mayor and I and Councilmember Walker attended the Snohomish County City's dinner up in Everett. Very, very interesting, and that provided a lot of information gathering for me. Saw a lot of people that were at the Spokane conference, AWC conference, and just great to make those new connections, but did spend some time talking about e-scooters, e-bikes, and fireworks. Went to Music in the Park on Friday, first time all summer, and that was a wonderful event. Thank you, Chamber, and thank you, City and Parks. Just great. I would like to bring back for discussion the e-scooters and e-bikes. We've had 2 committee meetings where we've talked about it. I think it merits further discussion, and I'd like to see this brought up again next week for deliberation. I'm wondering if anyone supports me on that? Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
We will add it to the agenda. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you. I was also going to bring up the e-bikes needs to come back for the full council. We need to get somewhere with this. I appreciated Ms. Fisher's comments tonight. There was something else, and I'm going to remember it as soon as I turn off my microphone. Eat that.
You can always raise your hand again.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Blair, do you have any comments?
No, I do think that I'm thankful that we're going to add the e-bikes to the conversation for next week. We did talk about it at Public Safety and then P3, and we haven't really been able to exchange all the information yet that was shared at Public Safety. So I think that is needed. I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher. I'm saving you for last.
Enjoying Monroe. We paddle the Skycomish River, me and the kids. case anybody doesn't know, I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. Paddled the river from Sultan to Monroe. We did not get caught in the strainer that they've had 21 rescues on. Pretty familiar with the river. I've grown up on it. I grew up steelheading it. My kids have also. So, but what an amazing day. So we saw deer swimming across the river. We saw a seal. That was kind of weird. I haven't seen a seal that far upriver before. If you're a fisherman, that is not an awesome sign. And it was amazing. Have also been able to do more garbage runs down Alborland. I brought it up a little while ago about closing the gates at night to keep from illegal dumping. Nobody from Parks is here tonight, unfortunately. But there is an entire rear end of a vehicle, about 150 feet on the left-hand side as soon as the pavement ends on the east side. And I can't get that thing in my wagon. I mean, I went over there and I tried to pick up one side of that thing, and I'll bet you that thing weighs 500 pounds. So it's still there, unfortunately. And then just a little shout out to GSR Rentals and here in Monroe. Somebody took a huge tarp, probably 400 or 500 pounds worth of garbage. There was kitchen stuff in it, there was old carpet, all this stuff, and just dumped it down at the Lewis Street Boat Launch. So it was actually Fish and Wildlife's area, but it was right on the cusp. It was so close. And I have a dump truck. We affectionately call Piggy. And so I went down there, I got a hold of GSR. Brian is the guy that runs it over there. And I was like, is there any chance that you could run one of your excavators down there and just pick this thing up and stick it in the back of my dump truck? And he was more than happy to do it. So he sent Zachary down with their big truck, and then unloaded the excavator and stuck it in the back of the truck, and I was done within about 15 minutes, which was way better because it would have taken me hours. Have had contact with some of the Fish and Wildlife officers down there. That's how I eventually found out about it. So I was able to text that officer and say, hey, it's all done, we're good. So that's in the dump where it should be. Also found a big area, evidently, where someone was storing stolen bikes, assuming they were all parted out in an area that was back in the woods. That was a couple of trips, but that was all like, I'm again assuming probably correctly, it was stolen metal and probably about 7 bikes. Cool thing is, I knew about it already, and then somebody had actually posted it on social media. And so I was able to go down there and say, I'm on my second load, I'll get it done, and took pictures and was able to kind of shoot that out to them. They're also a person who is very active down there and kind of trying to keep things kind of cleaned up to a bit. That's about everything I think that I have for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Yeah, just want to again say thank you to our residents for their contributions on the firework conversation. Mike, I want to say thank you as well for staying probably 2 hours longer than you thought you would. Thank you for all the fairgrounds does for our community. I know you're in the throes of it right now, I'm sure, for the fair, and we appreciate you. Appreciate your operation. It's very well done, so thank you. Thank you for coming out. And spoke a lot tonight, so I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you for the second chance.
Yeah, no worries.
I did remember what it was. We had gotten the public comment about an event in the park on Sunday that was apparently very loud, and the concern was it was above the decibels. I've talked to people on both sides of that issue. Do we have a method of measurement of noise of something that's happening at the park? Just a question. Maybe we'll have future action. Thank you.
And I believe that Kevin Teague responded to that appropriately, so did you get a copy of the email sent? Okay. The next item on the agenda is extended agenda. Mr. Wortham.
Okay, next week, first and foremost, we'll be doing a rinse and repeat of e-bikes, and that will provide a better discussion. So the chief, Kevin, and Liam will be here to present the e-bike stuff.
Other than that, we will be doing a 6-year utility rate model study and system development charges with Julie. I have a request for an updated pay range for human resources manager. We have a finance, public works, and parks report, and we will be having an executive session. So Jody's already made a comment, but that's okay. We need one before we go off on our recess. So that's that.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Wortham? No. Next is the administrative report.
On your desk, there is the Fair Days Parade and Appreciation Dinner RSVPs. If you would fill those out and get those back to Sherry, that'd be good. Also, the State Auditor's Annual Information Request is on your desk, so please fill those out. And also, Sherry worked very hard on the America 250 postcards. The idea is that we're writing notes, postcards to people that are going to open those in 2076. So fill those out and return at your leisure by the end of October. Cards will be put in the time capsule to be open in 50 years when Wild Waves will be here. It's the second one.
Any questions for Mr. Wortham? Okay. Whoops, do we have a
Sorry,
question?
I have a question online. Will
Councilmember Blair.
my items gonna be in my box since I'm not there, like the RSVP and the, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thanks.
Chief, did you have a question?
I hate to intrude here. Next week, there will not be anyone from the police department available at city council.
Okay. So I think it's probably important that we have someone from the police department there, but I mean, we can talk about that after the meeting, whether we.
For the e-bikes.
For the e-bikes, yeah.
Sorry,
Councilmember
me again.
Hanford.
Can I know that they reported out to P3 and Councilmember Fulcher and I were both there, or public safety. So we could give a summary of what they had told us also, if that would work.
Yeah. Councilmember Hanford.
Yeah, I would suggest that maybe they give a report out and then we just place it on the agenda for after the break when we can actually talk further about it. But I'd be interested to at least just hear the report out.
So have it on the agenda next week with the report out, but then put it back on the agenda after the break in September for more discussion.
Correct.
Council, thoughts? Seeing head nods. Okay, all right, well, thank you for that. Okay. Next item is mayor's report. I love these. This is awesome. So Sherry, amazing, great job. Thank you so much. Met with a couple business owners last week. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to just meet with business owners who are looking at moving into the city. Met with Matt McAuliffe down at Notice Coffee, and if you have an opportunity, they're moving in and did a ton of tenant improvements where Share Beans used to be, Share Beans, and beautiful space now. So, just wonderful to see people make investments in our community, especially in the downtown core. So excited for that. Met with Mayor Witta before the dinner last Thursday night, and we are looking at pulling together a Highway 2 Safety Congestion Forum for October, so more to come on that. We're working on the planning stages of that, and we've asked Carolyn Eslick to be involved in either facilitating or being a chair of the Highway 2 Safety Coalition and pulling that back together, but starting with a forum in October. So would love to have council involvement in a council panel, maybe. So we're working on kind of format of that, so we'll get back to you on format. Did you have a question? Councilmember Walker.
Could we send an invitation to Representative Del Bene?
Definitely. That's part of our plan, is looking at getting federal, state, and county elected there. So, and also Schreier. Mayor Witta reached out to Schreier, and I already reached out to Congresswoman Del Bene's office. So we're on it. So appreciate that. And then went to Pop for a Cop. I popped in to Pop for a Cop. Anyways, I got a lot of chuckles from that. But just thanks to the police department for, again, doing community service out, bringing awareness to the food bank, and lots of people popping in, thanking, there, I use that again, popping in, but thanking the police department for their work, and just, we've got a great police department. Thank you, Chief. And that's it. That's it. So, thank you. There's no need for an executive session this evening, so there being no further business and no objections, the meeting will be adjourned. Hearing no objections, the meeting is now adjourned.